Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of 50 Conversations with 50 Strangers. We are so way past 50 conversations with 50 strangers because thank God this idea just exploded. When I initially, this series is being sponsored by the book behind me called The Mosaic. The Mosaic is a story about a boy who loses his parents 2 years apart on the same day. And when he asks the adults where his parents are, they tell him they're in a place called heaven. And this is just a little boy, so he sets out thinking he can find the place called heaven. And he sets out on a journey to find that place, and he walks, and everybody he meets, he stops and talks with them. But the people he meets are not the people you would think he would meet. They're not the clergy and the swamis and the gurus and the Aborigines elders or the medicine men and women. They're just common ordinary people. They're the road worker and the trash man and the street artist and the homeless guy, the blind woman and the gardener and the juice man and the traveler. And when he sits for a minute, he says to himself, I wonder why I'm meeting these people of all people. What are they going to show me about heaven? But then he sits and he says, I'm here with them. I have no place to go. Why don't I just sit and listen to them tell me their stories? And in 100% of the cases, when he listens to them tell their stories, the people he sees now are so different than the one he first came up to. And he realizes that he doesn't see people the way they are at all, because it happens over and over and over and over again. And then he realizes, do I see anything the way it is, or do I see everything the way I am? Do I put a filter of who I am on everything that I see? And what would happen if I would slide myself to the left and just allow the world to be there without any filter from me? What would I see? And strangely enough, the moment he does that, he looks to his right and he sees a monk unzipping the sky and inviting him to walk through that sky into a parallel reality. And he walks through that parallel reality and meets the wise one who's the keeper of the mosaic. So that is my obligation. If you feel inclined to read that story, it's available through Amazon. It's available on the website, themosaiconline.com. I welcome you to read it. My sponsors would be very happy if you do. But that's the end of this. That's the end of any stuff like that now. Now what we have is this beautiful opportunity. And I may not get her name right, but this is a complete stranger that just walked into this room. And she is friends with another person who is a stranger who I just fell in love with. And so I know that she's friends with her. And I love the idea. We had a little bit of a talk in the green room beforehand. And I love the idea of who this woman is, but I don't know much about her. So Madhur Shalini. Did I say it even close? Say it.
It is close. It's Madhur Shalini.
Madhur Shalini. Okay,
Yeah.
Madhur Shalini. See, I don't even know how to say her name. So imagine that. But that shows we're strangers. We don't know anything about each other. Madhur Shalini. Shalini? I'm going to mess up.
Shalini.
Shalini.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome to the 50 Conversations with 50 Strangers. How are you today?
I'm good today, actually. Today was a good day. I was excited that I'm gonna have do something new. I had a positive energy throughout.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Tell us, we don't know anything about you, so tell us a little bit about who you are and what's important to you.
Um, I I I
Ay,
what was
ay,
it?
ay, ay, ay.
I just graduated from college, and I am going to start my job at a big tech company. But what means a lot to me is that I want to create some kind of good mark in the world through some means, and that means a lot to me. I don't know how I'm gonna do that, but I
Yeah,
want to.
yeah. How come you chose to go into tech?
Uh, it wasn't a choice. I was always interested in science, and the next step was me to take engineering, so I took engineering. It was
Uh,
exciting,
are
and I see that, yeah,
no,
I
are
see
you?
that,
Go ahead.
I now see the power that technology has, and I
Yes.
think it's a brilliant decision that I took.
Yeah. Congratulations on making a brilliant decision.
Thank you.
Where are you located in the world?
I'm in New Delhi, India.
In New Delhi. So the classic stereotype of the Indian family is every parent wants their kid to be an engineer, or in America it's everyone wants a doctor or a lawyer. But I think there's a lot of tech people in India. Are there? Is that not true?
Yes, that is true. I guess all parents just want what they think is best for their kid,
Yes.
and they think a high-paying job would get you to another level.
Yes.
So that's what they want.
But technology now in the world that we are growing into is such a huge, beautiful place to be because it's really the new frontier.
Yeah,
We have no idea what exists beyond where we are right now, and technology
yeah.
is the thing that
It's
will
like
take us there.
creating what, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Creating the new reality.
So what what's important to you? I know you sort of said that you want to help people, but can you go a little bit more than that?
Um, I do want to help people and make an impact, a positive impact in people's lives. But that's something I was specifically believed in was that I thought that education has is the only thing that has the power to impact people's lives, and I believe that because whatever decisions that we take in the world, it is based on the perspectives that we have, and the perspectives that we have is based on what the input that we take in. So I believe that education has a lot to do with what kind of individuals that we create. And I wanted to tackle that through something that I started in education. I believe that storytelling has a lot of influence in how people think, like
Yes.
honest stories. And so I started something near my college in this of in a home that has a home for young girls who do not have a family, and we have life skills development sessions, so storytelling and movies, and through which people expand their perspective of the world with the hope that people develop a sense of hope and faith and a stage where they can tackle the world.
Wow.
I hope that makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, it makes total sense. So have these been produced already? Some of them, are they out somewhere that people can see them?
No, actually, it's not an online presence that we had. It's something me and a group of volunteers. Um, we used to go to this home near our college, and we used to have like storytelling sessions where we used to uh, sit with the kids and tell honest stories. I thought that that would help people articulate their lives and develop hope and what to do next.
Yeah.
But I was wrong. It's so much harder than that.
Wow.
So we thought of different ways to develop a good perspective. And there isn't a metric of how I would measure the success, but one day uh, a girl came up to us and she was like, I want to build things. I want to build robots the way that you do in college because we used to show them what we used to build.
Wow.
And the fact that she has a vision now, I feel that that made an impact.
Yeah.
And yeah, that I am passionate about that.
I love
That
that.
means something.
Storytelling is such a big vehicle now, and I think it's an underused. It's becoming more and more visible now in America, at least, where power of story is starting to really make sense, and the power of human story is such a beautiful power, and to be able to share human stories. I mean, it's not very far away from what I'm doing here in 50
Yeah,
conversations, right, with 50 strangers. It's giving people a chance to have a vehicle to share their human story.
yes,
and what's
and
important
in the
to them.
most honest way, and that's I think powerful.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Um, Mother, what makes you happy?
Um, a lot of things make me happy. Uh, a sense of achievement, a sense of growth. Um, when I try something new, uh, when I today made me happy when I thought, I was so afraid of sitting and having a conversation, and the idea that people are gonna watch this, it was nerve wracking. But I overcame that fear, and I because it's something that I really wanted to do. I want to have a conversation with you, so that made me happy. That made me see things in a positive way, and that yeah, and
So, if you can,
yeah.
where, like everything about you seems like you are engaged in the story of connection. Why, if you can, and if you don't feel comfortable answering it, don't answer. But why would you be why would you be nervous about having a conversation? Like, why are people nervous to have conversations with people they don't know?
I actually wasn't nervous about having a conversation with you. I was
Beautiful.
pretty excited about it because I didn't have anything to lose in having a conversation with a stranger. I had everything to gain, and I'm gonna learn something about you, and it's a completely different story that you would have, and
Yeah.
yeah, that was exciting. But I, what was scary is that I felt that a lot of people are gonna watch this,
Yes.
and it kind of felt like it wasn't a one-on-one conversation. It was like I'm having a conversation but everybody is watching it.
Oh, I
That was
see.
something that was scary a little.
And what would make I completely understand, and thank you for clarifying, because you beautifully said that what I said wasn't exactly. I'm so happy you clarified, because it wasn't nervous to have the conversation, because a one-on-one conversation is completely different than having a conversation that's put out for everybody to see it, right? And I really want to just go underneath all that, and I want to say why. Like, why should it matter how many people see us open and honest and vulnerable and real? Why wouldn't we love that? Why wouldn't we love the opportunity to take the way we are with one person in a room and just broadcast that out so that the world can see us as we are, free of all the stuff that we hide behind?
It shouldn't be.
Yeah,
It shouldn't be scary. In fact, it should be easy because telling the truth should not be hard.
yeah.
Uh,
Did you
and
feel a little shift that just happened in you right now?
yeah, I felt more calm
Yeah,
because I was nervous.
yeah,
But now I'm like, that's a different perspective. I'm like, telling the truth should not be difficult.
yeah,
But what I think was, I felt was difficult was that I might be expected to be a certain way,
yeah.
maybe by my peers, maybe by the job I'm joining in. And maybe what if um, they don't agree with the way I am? So that's kind of like
Yeah,
um, scary.
yeah.
But I honestly believe that telling the truth should not be scary, it should be easy. And this is something that you are making, like you're telling people that telling the truth is normal. I mean, you're making it more acceptable, and I think that's beautiful.
Thank you so much. And again, we don't know each other for all of about 14 seconds, right? So we for you to be this open and this vulnerable and this honest and this real, I can't tell you how much that means to me.
Thank
Because
you.
because what we're going against is that belief system that we can't let people see us the way we are because they may not like us, or they may think something wrong about us. And so if we broadcast that thought out to the world of we can't be who we are because people may not like us, then we have a world full of people who are not themselves. And part of the magic of what happens in this room is that slight moment of shift, that slight relaxation that you yourself just experienced and we experienced with you. Of no, it's okay. Why should I be scared to tell the truth? Or why should the truth not be what I say? And if people don't like me for being myself, well, then we'll deal with that. But why should I try and be somebody I'm not so that you'll like me? Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I do that now.
So thank you for having the courage to shift with me that place.
Thank you for accepting my request
Uh,
to be on here.
it's my honor. It's really my honor. Um, if money weren't important, what would you do?
Um, I don't think I've ever considered money as important because
Okay.
I'm just a recent graduate. I've never had money play a key role in my life. But now I'm thinking that money should play a key role in my life. I need to be financially aware. But when I talk about money, my mom is like, "Don't think about money." When
Oh,
think about how, like, I'm thinking like how do I the money that I'm gonna get in my job? Like, oh, I'm gonna get money, but my mom is like, Don't think about money," because she's like, think about how you want to contribute to the organization.
beautiful.
Because when you pursue excellence, money will follow. And I still think I should care a little more about money.
So to talk. Let's go there a little bit, if you don't mind,
Okay.
because here you have a mom who has some sort of enlightened belief. Because a lot of moms in the world would not say that. They would say, "Look, you got to go out there. You got to make. We want you to have a better life than we had." I think every parent wants for their children that their life is better than the life that we came into. So, and many parents believe that the vehicle for that is the amount of money that they make, that they won't ever want anything or need anything. And here you have this very wise mom who is saying to you, think about the contribution, think about what you can give, think about more what you can, how you can find areas where you can contribute, and don't worry about what comes from that. Because if you do what you do well and you help people and contribute to where the organization that you're in, money will have to follow, because you'll be bringing them money, you'll be doing some good things for them. So what in that makes you still think, well, maybe I should think about money more? I mean, I understand that you haven't grown up like you're entering the phase where money is coming into your life, of how do you deal with it, and what, you're taking responsibility. Not that you haven't taken responsibility for yourself prior. I don't know if you have or haven't.
Mm, what was the question again?
That was the most confusing question I've ever asked.
No, it made sense, but I just lost what the question was.
Yeah. Um, so in a world, I think a lot of people would long to have the world that you're living in right now, where their parents or their mom says to them, don't think about the money, think about how you can give to the world. And from that, money will come, because most parents or most people probably live in a world where their parents tell them, don't do what you want to do, don't think about anything, just you got to take care of yourself, you got to make some money. So
Uh,
in the world that you're living in, which is where you're being invited to contribute and allow your contribution to be what brings you money, why do you still say, well, I probably think I should think about money a little bit more?
so I don't think my mom, when you, oh, I, my mom doesn't say that money isn't important. She
Right.
knows that it's important. That's why she encouraged me to take engineering and have a stable job, because that's something that's gonna bring some stability in my life and then take me to another level. But I think she believes that money isn't everything.
Right.
That if I keep thinking about money, I won't grow as much, because it shouldn't matter. Money, she just believes that money should be an outcome of her action. And why I think money should be important is it's a recent realization. I see a lot of people are trying to improve their financial standing, and I just look at them and I think that maybe I should also
Hmm.
start thinking about improving my financial standing
Yeah.
because yeah, that's the
Okay.
point.
Let's switch it up a little bit. Um, I'm not very good at lightning rounds, but we're going to try a lightning round, okay? But it doesn't
Okay.
mean we have to be stuck to fast answers because I suck at it. So we'll just do it. The first few are going to probably be easy, okay? Um, do you consider yourself a dog person or a cat person?
I like both.
Both. Okay, cool. Coffee or tea? Coffee. Would you say your viewpoints fit more in a conservative viewpoint of view or in a liberal point of view?
Uh, I think it's liberal
Okay.
because I feel that freedom is important, and any rigid ideology doesn't make sense to me.
Yes. I love that. Would you consider yourself more of a giver or more of a receiver?
Mm, giver. I want to be more of a receiver.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Can we sit there for a minute?
Okay.
Um, in the work that I do with people, I find people that are givers are really beautiful, beautiful people. But but they so often have a hard time receiving. And so they give and they give and they give, but like the circle of life is made up when we give and then we receive and then we give what we, and it just keeps the flow of energy sort of going. But when people give and are not able to receive, the flow of energy sort of stops. When you said you would like to be more of a receiver, can you tell me what you meant by that?
What I mean by that is that uh, sometimes I may give too much, and uh, I sometimes need to focus on what more on how I can be better. I mean, uh, yeah, I feel like I give a lot, and I don't think about what I'm going to get by doing something.
Yeah.
And I feel that I should think more about it because I only when I feel in some ways I feel like only when I grow, that is something that's going to give me fulfillment. It's not by giving too much I'm going to
Yeah.
be fulfilled. I need to receive. I need to be self-full. And some ways I I think why I said that I need to be more of a receiver is that um, I think that I should really love myself more, like honestly, and I have a hard time standing up for myself
Mm.
sometimes. And I think that developing a perspective of being a receiver is, in some ways, when I think like a receiver, I love myself more. I
Yeah.
would stand up for myself. And that is something that I want more for myself.
Wow.
Because, yeah, the way that I measure some, like recently got to know a way to measure how much one loves oneself is that think of a child that you may have, and how much you will love that child, and how much you're gonna stand up for that child. And now imagine that child is you.
Yeah.
So that is how much I want to love myself because I would want my child to grow to its maximum potential. And I want to love myself that much so that I grow to my maximum potential.
Would you be open to us trying a little experiment here?
Okay.
And if it doesn't feel comfortable at any point in time, just tell me it's not comfortable, okay? Um, when people speak about different things and they put different thoughts together, to me that creates a mosaic, and that's one of the reasons why I love the image of mosaic. So the whole idea of receiving and wanting to receive more, and the whole idea of being a child, and how we love our children, and how a child could be us, seems to create a very beautiful mosaic that I'd like to experiment with right now, if I could. Um, can you find the child in you right now? Like you can
Yeah.
even close your eyes if you want, and just sort of close your eyes and feel the child in you.
Yeah.
How old is that child right now when you see him, when you see her?
It's 2 years old.
It's what?
Okay. I think the child is same age as me.
Okay, all right. So can you go back to when it was younger and see if you can? Can you touch base with yourself younger? Can you keep your eyes closed? Okay. Can you show that? How old is the child now that you're seeing? If you can get an age on her.
It's 10 years old.
10 years old. Okay. Can you show that child now what a beautiful woman she's become?
What?
In talking to that child now, can you turn that child towards you face to face? And can you show her what a beautiful woman she's become? And can you ask that child, what is it she needs? And what is it she wants you to know so that you can love yourself more? And can you tell her how much you love her? Because it's just natural an adult to love a child. And can you tell her how much you love her, and yet you're a better giver than a receiver? So you would love to invite her to give to you now so that you could receive her love. And what does that feel like, and what does she say to you? And if you can, what are the words that come through, or the feeling that you get?
Can I open my eyes?
Yes, absolutely. You can only go like that.
When I thought of that, I felt more full. I felt, um, I felt uh, a need to accept myself, and I felt really warm in my heart.
Yeah, yeah. I love that, and
That
it's so simple, right? There, what did we do? It took like a minute and a half. It
it
took us
really,
only about 1 minute and a half to have that,
yes.
right? And yet there you were, and you were there with yourself. What do you think prevents you from accepting yourself and loving yourself?
Caring about other people.
Caring about other people. S-
Oftentimes we care too much of what the other person will think,
Wow.
of maybe what will happen to me if I do this, or we just fix on the outcome, not anything in the present.
Yeah. So do you hear the theme that's sort of running through most of our conversation, of this sense of I want to give to help people and take care of people so that people will be better, but then in the receiving I'm a little bit, it's a little bit harder. I would really want to receive, like I want to receive, like if I were the child of, and I were the parent, and the love that I would give to that child, I want to receive that as the child. And the sense of wanting to do things to make other people happy and to make yourself feel loved and accepted by other people. Whose love and acceptance are you really asking for?
Fine. Uh,
Is that real, or is that just like that's what I believe, but I don't want to lead you into that answer.
Mine. Because I don't do things to make others happy in most ways. But what I find myself is being scared of what other people think, like how we started this conversation.
Yeah,
But if I love myself more, I wouldn't care.
yeah,
I feel that children are very carefree. They don't
yeah,
care about a lot of things. And we learn inhibitions that as we grow up, and I want to be free from that so that I can grow better.
yeah. And what's really interesting, like, pardon me for doing this, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. What's really interesting is when you are engaged in the conversation, you forget the limitations that you have. But when you think about them, you don't forget them. Like, do you, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that feels so stupid.
Well, it's not. It's what we all do.
Yeah.
In the Mosaic, one of the stories that is the story of a gardener, and Mo goes to this garden. It's the most beautiful garden in the whole world, and he asks the gardener, "What? Why is this garden so beautiful?" And the gardener says, "Well, everybody knows if you put certain colors together, they make each other more beautiful." And Mo says, "I know that, and everybody knows that, and every garden does that. But why is this garden so beautiful?" And then the gardener thinks for a minute, and he says, "Well, sometimes it has dimension because you put little flowers in front of big flowers, and it gives dimension." And Mo says, "Great, I know that, and that's true, and that's also true. But every garden has that. There's something about this garden. What is it about this garden?" And the gardener thinks for a minute, and he says, "Have you ever gardened, Mo?" And he said, "I travel around, so I don't have my own garden. I'm walking and I'm staying with people, but sometimes in my desire to give back to people for helping me, I'll go out, and one of the things they'll have me do is weed their garden with them." And the gardener goes, "Great. When you get to that big clump of weeds that you pull them and they break off in your hand, what do you do?" And Mo says, "Well, I normally don't have that much time, so I'm just trying to make the garden look nice. So I just keep going. I try and get it at the surface and do it." And he says, "Oh," the gardener looks at him and goes, "Oh, maybe that's why
Now
you."
you don't get why my garden is
Now
pretty.
maybe you, because the reason my garden is pretty is not because of what you see, it's because of what you don't see. And when we pull out the weeds of our garden, when we go underneath it and take it out, and he asks Mo, "What's keeping you from doing that?" And Mo says, "I just have this belief system." And the gardener has a little bit of power more than just his garden. And he goes within Mo to try and pull out the weed that's keeping him from doing that. And he says, "That's funny. I don't see that weed. It's not there anymore." And suddenly Mo sees a character that he met earlier who was a thief, who told him that he was going to take something from him that he wouldn't know until later. And he actually took the belief that he couldn't do something, but Mo didn't realize that because he just kept saying over and over and over and over that he couldn't do it. But it was no longer in the garden of his being. That weed, he just kept saying that it was there. The gardener wanted me to come to you and say that story to you. Because within the garden, the beautiful garden that you show me today as we sit here, some of these belief systems are not even in your garden anymore. You just have believed they're in your garden so long that you don't want to that you don't can't imagine that they wouldn't be there, but they're gone. Does that make any sense to you?
Wow, how do you do that? Yeah, it makes so much sense.
Do you feel it lifted from you even now as we're speaking?
Yeah, like when you said that story that towards the end, maybe you don't have the weeds in you.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, I don't. I just think I do.
yeah. And
Oh,
so
okay. That's why I'm able to talk so honestly with you in some way
maybe,
because I'm not restricted by what I was restricted by.
Remember what I said to you, which is really interesting, which is one of the phenomenons I'm finding about this room, is that when we first started talking in the green room, what happens somehow in this room is by holding the space for people to be 100% accepted and loved and acknowledged and validated for who they are, to be, when I listen to people and really hear what they're saying, everything about who they are not falls away, and who they are becomes present. I believe that's what's happening to you right now in this room. Is that true?
Yes.
Well, congratulations
It's
for
magical.
it is magical. And it's interesting because when you signed up for this conversation, you said, I want to know about the magic of real conversation. And so rather than talk about it, I thought, why don't we just show it to you? And you did it. It's not me. I didn't do anything. I just held the space, and you felt free enough in this space to allow yourself to be seen. So I want to really congratulate you and celebrate you and hope you celebrate yourself for it as well. Remember,
Thank
remember,
you.
remember I said I suck at lightning rounds, okay? So here we go. Let's go back in. Um, do you speak more or do you listen more?
I listen.
That's a beautiful quality, by the way. Do you operate from your head or do you operate from your heart?
Uh, I don't think one can operate from their heart because
You don't think anyone can operate from their heart?
no, because the heart is the organ that pumps blood. It can't operate from a heart. What I do is that I operate from my instinct, what I believe is true. And it could be said that I operate from my heart, but it's a conscious decision that I make that I'm gonna follow what I believe is true, then I'm gonna follow my instinct, and that actually pays off because it leads you to where you want to be. Because not every time conscious thought maybe like we may think about what is where we want to go, like evaluate things,
Yeah.
but deep down we know where we want to go. That's our instinct, and following that, I guess to the place where we want to be.
So when you operate from a place of love, where are you operating from? Do you know what operating from a place of love feels like?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you do. And when you operate from that place, where would you say that place comes from?
Place comes from my mind, but I feel good about it.
Oh,
That
so
my heart becomes warmer. So I feel like, maybe I'm operating from my heart. But I know that I am going to operate from my mind because I'm a biology student.
yes.
I study biology. I don't think one can operate from their heart. It just comes blood.
Wow. Okay. So if we were thinking less about physical organs and more about energy centers in the body.
Oh, okay. Now that question makes more sense.
Okay. Let's do it that way.
Uh,
So what do you think you operate more from your head center, from the mind, the center of your mind, or do you think you operate more from the center of your heart? And I think you already answered, but let's just give you a chance to regroup it.
oh,
Yeah.
I don't think that operating solely from the heart without rationale is good.
Yeah.
I think logic and uh, being fulfilled should exist together. Is
Yeah.
one without the other. I don't think that would work.
I love it. I would invite you under separate time to sit with that simple question. and just allow yourself to slide to the left and see what you might see if you didn't see the way you always see. Does that make sense?
I say I slide myself to the left. What do you
In
mean?
other words, when Mo was walking through the world and he saw people in this way he thought he saw them, and then when he sat and listened to them, he saw them totally different, and he asked himself, "I wonder what else in the world I would see if I could see myself, if I could see it without myself and my own thoughts in the way of it." I would like to invite you to take your thoughts of what you believe, not here, but sometime on your own in your own time when you feel comfortable and safe, and just invite your thoughts to go to the left for a few minutes and clear the space in front of you so that it's not filled with your thoughts and what you've believed all your life. What might you see sitting right in front of you? It's a practice for you. You can do it now. I love the way your eyes show me how your mind thinks. Because, because when you're thinking
People
about
tell me I can't lie.
yeah, I love you, you have
Oh
a
my
very
God.
expressive face, and so you can
Yeah,
see, yeah, right?
it's a boon and a bane.
But do you understand what I'm asking you to do under separate cover?
Yeah,
Okay. And I'd
like
love the
try to view things in a way that is different from how I view things right now.
yeah,
Maybe. Okay.
because remember that weed that's no longer there. Some of it exists right here. That you have this belief system that I don't believe it's possible to operate from the heart. So I would love to invite you to inquisit around what would it be like if it were possible to operate from the heart? What's the wisdom of the heart actually say? And how is that different than the wisdom of the mind? Just and you'll hear this. You'll have this to go back and listen to if you choose. And if you don't want to,
Yes,
just throw it in the trash. It doesn't. You don't have to do anything. Um,
I think I will listen back to this conversation.
okay, I love it. Um, do you believe people are more similar than they are different, or more different than they are similar?
I think we're all the same
You think we're all the
because
same?
so I'll tell you one story.
Please.
So along with what I said before, that the education, the initiative that I started in my college. Apart from that, I organized this event which created a platform where people have one-on-one, honest conversation, vulnerable conversation with each other,
Oh,
and uh, and it was a physical space that provides that. And I help people organize two more such events across Delhi. And one day, the latest event I went to, I had a, I in each of those events that were organized, I would have conversations with the people myself. And the after the latest event that I went to, I came home with uh, like a profound idea that I think it just feels like everybody is the same.
yeah,
And I told my mom this, and I'm like, look, everybody is the same. She's like, what are you talking about? She didn't get it. I couldn't convince her. But I think that everybody is the same. And I
yeah,
also believe that we're also quite different. Like, uh, uh, how we operate, our decisions, our perspectives, it is also different and also valid. But we're all the same inside.
yes,
And I had this weird idea that in as an engineer, I read about reinforcement learning, and I really love the idea. Uh, so I believe that I kind of had an idea that it felt like we're all agents in a reinforcement learning arena. That we do what we do, we act the way we act because of external uh, forces,
yeah,
positive and negative reinforcement. But we're all the same. We're all human beings.
yeah.
Human beings. I know, but we're all space. That's what I
Yeah.
think.
I want you to know I believe that 100,000%. I think on the outside we look different, but the more you get inside, there is no different. Even scientifically, our bodies on the outside look different. We have different shapes and forms, and we think we're this massive body. But metaphysics and quantum physics are telling us something totally different. They're telling us that we're made up of energy and we're made up of cells and we're made up of when they look at under a high powered microscope, when they look at this thing that feels pretty solid, there's nothing solid here. It's all space and energy moving around. And so, how can we be very different if we're all made up of that same energy? And when Einstein said matter equals energy at the speed of light squared, basically m equals m, right? It was a formula of how to reconstruct energy and matter so that we could actually see the similarity and break down the differences. And to me, that's the mosaic, that we're all part of this one artistry. And each of our pieces has a place in the artistry, but it's not the artistry. So it's interesting. I would love to see where you go with that as an engineer and where that leads you in some of the designs that you make and things that you create. Be fascinating. Is trust something that's hard for you or easy?
I I trust easily.
Yeah.
I trust people for their words, but I don't completely believe it. As in, uh, I know that what the word somebody is saying is coming from it's a part of their perspective, and I know I trust it, but I may not completely believe it.
What would it take to shift that belief so that what happens in a relationship with a person for you when you go from trusting the words that they say and knowing that they mean it to action and not believing it to trusting the words that they say, you know that they mean it, and actually believing it.
I don't know where you got to relationships, but it's like bullseye.
Wow.
But I don't know. I don't know yet.
Okay. And I love the beauty of your honesty of saying you don't know yet, because what that does is it just allows, like, to me life is this beautiful exploration, and the more things we don't know yet, the more fields we have to explore. And it's such a beautiful, this whole place of trust, because even trusting in our creator, trusting in ourselves, trusting in the relationships we have with other people, trusting that our purpose is our purpose, trusting that this world is going to be okay, trusting so much of this world is based on whether our level of trust that we give to it. What do you think about that?
Uh, you say that so much of the world around us it's based on how much we trust it.
Yeah, that's what I believe. I'm asking your thoughts on it. Do we trust the creator, the creator, to know that he's got our back or she's got our back? Do we trust ourselves enough to know that we can be ourselves and people will like us? Do we trust another person knowing that they won't, that they, as much as they, even if they've hurt us, they've never tried to hurt us or never meant to hurt us? Do we trust the world at large? Do we think the world at large is a kind, benevolent world, or is it out to get us? Do we trust that money will always be available to us if we're in the right place to be able to receive it? Trust to me is at the heart of everything that we do. And do
I,
and
I, I agree
okay,
because I feel like in my experience, for example, the smallest thing, when I learned to code for the first time 3 or 4 years ago, I trusted my teacher that he knows what he's talking about and has to follow his instructions. And I grew a lot because of that. And I believe trusting in the creator. I don't believe there's a creator, right?
You don't
Uh,
say that again because I missed some
I
of it.
don't think there's a creator,
Okay.
but I think there is a larger force than us,
Okay.
obviously. And trusting in that is what people call faith. And I have, I would accept that I have not had faith for a long period of time. It made me very anxious and upset. I was in a very dark place for more than a year,
Hmm.
and I felt like very anxious. But I looked at my friend. She's a really close friend to me. She is a woman of faith, and when I look at her, I'm filled with positivity because she grew a lot because of her faith.
Hmm.
When I was really anxious, I could not take a decision. She had the faith to trust the process, and because of that, she grew a lot. And that made me believe that trusting and having faith has a lot of power. And after I say that story right now, I remember a quote that Oprah Winfrey said that if you have the faith the size of a mustard seed, you'll see the change that will make to your life.
Yeah.
And I think that has a lot of power, value.
Yeah.
I think trust is basis of everything. And if I don't believe that I'm gonna get money, why would I get money? If I think that okay, I'm only gonna get bad things, I will only see the bad things. If I keep thinking of bad things, I'm gonna only see the bad.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
also
Yeah. I love what's happening in this conversation with you as you talk yourself through your own belief systems because some of them are just, it's beautiful to watch you sort of discover for yourself, even in this conversation, some deeper places of where you, what you actually believe. And I would just continue to invite you to have those conversations with self because they're really beautiful. Um, both of these things are really important, but I want to know what's more important for you right now. Is it more important for you to be able to stand up and be able to have a voice and share your voice with the world? Or is it more important for you to create a space where other people can stand up and have a voice and you're able to listen to them?
right now. I think the latter.
The latter.
Uh, that people should have the space to speak their truth. Um, a friend of mine said that we need more stories in the world than philosophy,
Yes.
and I think that only when we are able to hear people's experiences in the most honest way will we be able to understand the world better.
Yeah.
And like, if you want to solve any problem, you need to know the problem.
Yes.
I think that people, like, I've always been more of a listener than a talker. I've always been curious of what is this? Why are they saying this? And I think that I need to hear more stories right now.
Yeah.
But
Beautiful.
at the same time, I need to be brave enough to express what I think, stand
Yeah.
up for myself. That's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. So sometimes listening can be a way to hide behind not standing up and saying who you are, and sometimes listening can be a way to receive. Like for me in doing these shows, one of the things I realized, because I'm a talker, I have no problem. And when I was given the mission to listen to people, I was like, boy, you must be really down at the bottom of your list because, like I'm a talker, not a listener. But in hearing the stories of the people that have come into this room, it's actually given me the platform of what I'm going to do with my life as I go forward. Because people tell the most interesting stories in the Mosaic. The street artist says, because people bring him all these broken pieces for him to make mosaics. And when Mo sits with him, he says, "What do you see when you see these pieces?" And Mo says, "I'm afraid I just see broken pieces. What do you see?" And the street artist looks at him and he says, "Ah, broken pieces tell such beautiful stories." And every piece has its story that it tells. And when you hear those stories and you put them together with the other stories, you create this beautiful mosaic of stories, a living, breathing mosaic of stories. And I'm going to just put this out there to you. It's sort of a little bit weird. Um, but I would like to lob over the net like a tennis ball. The possibility that we might create a stories, a mosaic of stories together with other people, and that you might be a part of that with me.
Yeah.
No, oh, I love that. Okay, because it's just I follow my intuition, and I think I said it in the beginning, but now as I hear you speak, and I hear how important story is to you. When I wrote my book, The Mosaic, I originally wrote it as a sort of self-help book. It was, and I sent it to a friend that was a muse, and she said, "Danny, what are you doing? This isn't your book." And I said, "What do you mean? Do you think I plagiarized it? Do you think I did something right?" Like, and she said, "No, the ideas are fresh and original, but you hate self-help. You don't even believe in it. You're a storyteller. Why won't you just tell stories?" And I fought her for about a minute and a half because I thought this was my legacy to leave to the world. And I thought, what am I going to do? Write a fable as my legacy? And the more that I started to hear myself talk, the more I realized she was 100% right. And I thanked her, and I went back and I rewrote it as a storybook. And it's a book of people's stories. And I believe that there's a medium of movies and television and radio and all sorts of stories that are made up of life stories of people. So I would like to float that out. We can have a further discussion. If it doesn't
Yeah.
feel right, no worries. But I was encouraged by the fact that you crossed your fingers.
I really hope that we do that
I love that.
because
Thank you.
I believe it 100%.
Yeah, I feel that. So let me ask you a couple other questions. Do you believe that you are in the box, or do you believe you are out of the box?
I believe that I'm out of the box.
And
I'm so out of the box that I can't see the box.
I love
I
that.
don't know where the box is.
Yeah. It's so interesting because in asking these questions and gathering data, the large majority of people, maybe it's just the people that I'm drawing to myself, but the large majority of the people that I'm talking to feel like they're out of the box, not in the box. And I wonder if that's the case, why so many people try to box us into places by the definitions that they ask us, like, are you a conservative or liberal? Even in my own questions, I do it. Are you,
Yeah.
right? Right? And I loved at one point you said, I don't know that I put myself in those boxes, but what do you think the natural inclination of people to try and box us and separate us and try and understand us and put us into these little silos? Why?
Because I think that it is easy. I think it's an easy thing to do. That I'm. If I often see people who are not so curious and like, for example, yeah. So I feel like I think a lot, and um, I when doing a certain task, I want to get the whole picture. And when I finish the task, I see my friend who did it so fast, and I'm intrigued, and I ask her, "Dude, how did you do it so fast?" And like, how do you understand it so fast? And then I realized that she doesn't completely understand it.
Hmm.
And she didn't spend the time to completely understand something. She just had to do it. She rushed and did it.
Yeah.
And I often feel that we often rush through life and we often take the easy route. We were not curious enough. It's easy to look at people and put them in boxes, right?
Yeah.
And it's easy to understand because we're forced to understand somebody. And if I could just have a category that I'm going to put you to liberal man, and it's easy to understand. I guess people are afraid to see the whole person because I feel that nobody can be put into boxes because they are so complex.
Yeah. I love that. I haven't heard it explained as quite as eloquently as that before, and I really like that. Thank you for sharing that. So, for someone like yourself who is so far out of the box that they don't even see the box, do you
Yeah.
do you feel that you fit into this world or don't fit into this world? Do you feel like you're different? Have you always felt you're a little different than the world around you, or do you feel like you fit in just fine?
I have felt that I'm a little bit different from the world around me. Uh, Maybe I wasn't surrounded by the people that are similar to me.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I'm haven't fit in. Because right now in this conversation, I feel so validated. I feel so connected.
Beautiful.
And that means that of course I fit in, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times I do feel that I don't fit in this room because a lot of people in the room think very differently the way that I
Yeah.
do.
I love I love that you are brave enough to even say that, because you've been showing it as the conversation goes on and on and on. It's as if you've become more and more and more and more comfortable,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you can feel it in everything about the way you are showing up. Your voice has changed a little bit. They're a little less hesitant, and it's just so beautiful to watch the magic of what happens when people just don't feel judged and just feel loved and accepted and validated and understood, right?
I think people in the video would not know the difference,
Yeah,
maybe,
maybe.
because when I jumped into the green room, the first thing that you said was, "Are you all right?
Yeah,
Are you look sewn up? What happened?"
yeah, yeah. Well, and I think you know this also, when you start to listen to people, you listen not only to the words they say, but you listen to the feelings and you listen to the vibrations and you listen to the sensations that you get as well.
Listen to where they're coming from.
Yeah. And you can feel when something doesn't seem right or not. As a listener, do you believe that things that we don't normally think would talk to us, like it's easy to think humans talk to us and we talk back, but do you believe the environment is talking to us? Do you believe the world at large is talking to us? Do you believe our bodies speak to us? Do you believe our businesses speak to us? Do you believe that all the things in the world have a voice?
Yeah, to some extent, I'm not so completely aware of
Yeah.
it, but I do think that I do feel spoken to. Like, I don't completely understand it, but I do feel that the things that are happening to me like, right now are going to take me to a different place.
Yeah. So, at least in America, we're going through a fairly big time. We've just had, a few years ago, we had a Me Too movement where women stood up and said, I want to be respected for being a woman, not treated the way we've been treated over time. We've had a pandemic that has isolated us and made us really rethink our space and our relationship to ourselves because we can't go out as much as we have. And we also have a race movement, which people of black and brown skin have said have said that we have a voice too, and we want to have a voice, and our voice does matter. And we've had to re-look at the way we see and judge people based on superficial things like the color of their skin or how much money they make or whatever those things are. Do you believe the world is trying to say something to us right now?
Um, uh, and I think of specific things like I don't know, nothing comes to me.
I can't hear you. Come closer to the.
Hello.
There you go.
Yeah. When I think of specifically about specific movements like the Black Lives Matter, nothing comes to my mind except to what it is telling me. Of course, the externally I feel that change is being demanded. But to me, I feel because there is a lot of change and we're being demanded of a lot that we did not expect.
Yeah.
And it feels a little chaotic. It kind of feels like it's forcing me to go inward and be more present. I've right now in the pandemic, people are saying everything is chaotic, and and everybody feels anxious. That's how I think because that's how what they show on social media.
Yeah.
Uh, I think maybe people are feeling more anxious right now, but I've been feeling anxious and upset for a long period right now, and I've always for more than a year, like I said, and I've always felt like in the back of my mind, be present. You've always been more happy when you're present,
Yeah.
and you always take the best decision when you're present, more aware. I don't need to be thinking about everything right now.
Yeah.
I on, I don't need to be thinking about everything right now. There's so many things to think about, and all I need to do is be present. And I felt that the chaos that I was put in for the long period of time was telling me in the back of my head that I need to be more present. And now I feel more validated because everybody is being told to be more present.
Yeah. Fabulous.
So I'm gonna be more present.
I love that.
I
And
woke up and exercised today, and I
fabulous.
meditated a little bit. So
Fabulous.
I'm more positive.
Fabulous. Uh, and I'd like those of you who can to just join into the conversation and ask yourself right now, as Madhur's been speaking to us, what do you need to think about right now? And if you were truly present, what would that do to your mindset right now? How much of your mind is caught in the past or caught worried about the future? How much are you thinking about things you have to do 20 minutes from now as opposed to what you feel right this minute? What would happen for you if you allowed yourself to just experience this moment, moment to moment to moment to moment? How would that look for you? So, I want to thank you so much for being here with us. Um,
Thank you
I
for
have, I
having
have,
me.
I have thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you, um, and I look forward to more. I, I want to give you one more opportunity. I love your little movements. I want to give you um, one more opportunity. You've spoken a lot and said a lot of things that are really important for people to go back and listen to. But if there was one thing that you could say to the people in this world right now that you feel would be important to them, what would you say?
Um, I feel that it's a profound realization to have that we're gonna die someday, and like, where am I running? What is the end goal? The end goal is death. And I feel that I, when I realized that, you know what, I'm gonna die someday, so might as well live the life that I have right now, not be worried about the past or present. Because anyway, only when I am present, I guess it's a personal note. I feel that only when I am present, I take the best decisions.
Yes.
And I think that might be true for more people.
Beautiful. I loved it when someone asked a wise man, does he believe in life after death? And his answer was, I don't know, but what I do believe in is life before death, and I don't think enough people believe in that. How often do we actually live our life before we die? And how are we living our life before we die? So I love what I sort of was reminded of his statement when you said that.
I feel that sorry, I feel that somebody said that it's so wrong to tell people that you need to do good now so that your life after death will be awesome.
Right.
It's it's kind of the person said it's very wrong to tell that to people, and that person said really, I mean, the most horrible thing you can do to a person is
Yes.
not letting them live the life, discover the truth.
Yeah. If people want to get in touch with you, is there a way for them to get in touch with you?
I'm not so active on social media, but I want to be.
Okay.
So I get in touch with me on LinkedIn.
Okay. And will you do me a favor after the show ends? Will you take a minute and send me a picture of yourself for the cover of this conversation, a headshot?
Okay.
And will you
Okay.
also send me whatever social media links you want to have people have available so they can touch with you, your LinkedIn page?
Uh,
Okay. Um, thank you so much for being here. And for those of you who are listening to the show, I want to thank you so much for joining us here. If you have liked this show, the way things spread is to find things we like and share them with people we like. So if you like what's happening here in this show or any of the shows, why not share them with people you like who haven't had the chance to experience it? And if you or someone you know would like to have a conversation, would like to enter into this, what I call this magic room, I am welcome to you. I welcome you in. Contact me and let me know, and we can set up some time for us to talk together. And there's a challenge that I would like you to offer you, each one of you. And that challenge is, look what happens when you talk to a stranger and give the stranger a space to open up. What would happen if each of us just went up to one person we didn't know, virtually or in person, and just said to them, how are you? And were inquisitive about who they were and how they were doing and how they think and what they do. What I believe is, when I walked into this room with Madhur, I didn't know her. I don't even know how to say her name still.
you said it good, well now.
Okay, okay. So when I walked into this room with Madhur, I had no idea who she was. She was a stranger. As I leave this room, there's no doubt that she's my friend. And when we live in a world where we are strangers, we treat the world differently than the world that we live in where we're friends. And the world treats us differently as well. We believe it's a different world. When we have a world of friends around us, we believe in a different world than when we have a world of strangers. It's time for us to, one conversation at a time, go from being strangers to friends. So go up to a stranger and just ask them how they're doing and invite them the possibility. You don't have to help them. You don't have to fix them. You don't have to change them. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is just listen to them. So until the next stranger comes along, I invite you not to be a stranger. Madhur, is there anything, one last thing you want to say before we go out?
Thank you for having me. I really love this space. I was very nervous before coming in. Very nervous. Now I don't. The nervousness just flew away somehow magically because you were so open to conversation.
Yeah,
You were open to understanding somebody.
yeah,
It may be incomprehensible to a person who may be watching, but I think when they experience it, they'll know it.
yeah. And I want to thank you for giving me more credit than I'm due. I think what happened really was is that you just felt something. You felt freedom to be able to be yourself in this space. And so, what I want to invite those of you who are listening, if a perfect stranger can suddenly go within an hour period of time from being nervous to peaceful by talking to an imperfect stranger like myself, what sort of impact can you have on people if you do the same thing? I want to thank you again for being here. I want to thank those of you who listen. For our sponsor, I'll just say one more time. If this conversation has inspired you or interests you, or the book that it all came from is The Mosaic. It's available on Amazon. It's available through my website. Um, it would be an honor for me for you to read that and for me to hear how it touches you and affects you. Because when we change our perceptions, the world we see changes. Until the next stranger comes, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Ciao.
you so much for having me.
It's my honor. Ciao.